So you could decide to be the boss. And not from a sense of ego though, but from a sense of the responsibility. I'm not speaking from it from a sense, oh yeah, you the boss and this, you about to be making shit load of money and woo, woo, you just a cult master. Like I'm not trying to make that same equivalent. This is talking about the responsibility aspect of what you utter out your mouth and the things that you say and how they some of the things you can say as an individual is going to have a different weight when you start to gain leaders and or when you start to gain followers, excuse me, and you become a leader and you have people following you and things of that nature. And that'll kind of lead me into the last part of this episode that I want to kind of talk about is like some of the stuff that I'm going through, like because my background, how I got into this, is not from religion. See, a lot of people they got into the occult through religion, and I'm really serious about that. Like, I didn't get into the occult through religion. Like, even like as I trace myself back, I'm saying on a conscious level, and as I became conscious. So let's take it past the occult and talk about awareness and consciousness. And I became aware and conscious before religion, before I even got involved in religion. Actually, to be honest with you, and this may sound kind of backwards, but my interest in religion came from the streets because that's where my connection, and not even just with the streets, but the neighborhood and the community. Because I started doing neighborhood community work at the age of 8 years old. I formed an organization, me and my friend, um, Gerard, who's still alive. It was actually two of them, they're twins, and one of them is deceased. But me and Gerard formed an organization, his brother, and we were like, I'm not gonna say the full name of it, but it was called something slaughter. I'll just say that it was called something slaughter. We were very young, like kids, and this was like an organization to protect other kids and other individuals in the community that was getting bullied on and things of that nature, and that was just kind of lost and didn't really know how to survive in the woods and different things like that. Like we used to build tree houses together and stuff like that. Like taught ourselves how to do stuff. It was about teaching yourself how to do something, and that eventually led me into getting involved in the other organizations, some professional and some just private organizations and things of that nature, but all street. I'm not going to go into any of that here, but the bottom line is that what I started to research and find out is that as you move up in it, there's always this conflict. Like you got this conflict when you talk about like the Rangers, like the Blackstone Rangers, and then some people talk about the P Stones, because that's what we was talking about tonight. What I was going through, kind of like a borderline debate about tonight. I'm going to talk more about this topic because a lot of people want me to hit on this. And it's like you don't even know what words was being used. You got to remember, like these names of these groups changed because they debating over whether or not they was, rolling up under this color or whether or not they was calling themselves this and that. It's like the names of these groups change as you start to study the research because a lot of times their kids was the ones that took it and made it more popular. So you didn't know it went back. You thought a lot of this stuff started back in the 50s and 40s, maybe 30s, and not realizing this stuff. A lot of these street organizations go back even further than that. And their kids was the ones popularizing and taking the change of certain names and switching different names. And then there's debate about the name Ranger versus Gangster and things of that nature because of the fact that see it's like a point in history. Like they be watering down stuff, and you can get in trouble for telling people this type of stuff. But like it's real though, and they switch. See, I can say it because of my background, and I've done certain rituals that add up to 13. I'll just say that before I even say the rest of what I'm saying. I'm gonna shut down real quick because my storage space is messing up a lot. So I have to make this too many episodes. But I've done rituals up under the number 13, which is very important when you talk about street organizations. I'll just say that and leave it at that. But I don't never believe in like if you're a part of something that you quit and get out of it. What you was born is what you will always be, and the only thing you're going to do is unfold in that. So what you was born in, you're going to always be there. But you got to what were you born in? You got to ask yourself, what were you truly born in? So they have these debates about names and politics and things of that nature. But I've started to research language and names and things of that nature, and come to find out that, and I'm serious because I really went deep into this, and come to find out that like mostly everything involved in these different names and titles of these different street organizations all came from, they are connected very deeply to the occult. And a lot of times, even to occult rituals. A lot of the literature and things of that nature are connected to occult rituals that involve street organizations. And that's something that people need to realize. And it's like, and it's not by coincidence because people think that these street organizations were made up by lunatics and dummies, not realizing that this was, even back then, all started from what's called a black dot or a circle. And I'm going to stop there. But all of these organizations came from and started religion, actually. They started off as street organizations and eventually formed religions. So they were very organized. If they were able to take a street organization and form it into a religion, and I'm talking about even some of your Christian faiths and things of that nature, you have to know that they were very organized. And I'll make this point, and then that's it. I'm going to shut it down and say this. This is why when you research some of this stuff and these debates that people get into, you start to research the names and the language and things of that nature. Like, for instance, there's different organizations out there with the name Stone, but then you see the name, when you break that down, you see the name Saint. When you see the name Stone or the word Stone, you think, oh, this is just a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. They choose every word very carefully. And the people that they chose to start those organizations were in think tanks and were given lots of information. So you see the term saint, letting you know that this came out of Christianity. And this is why this is like a big debate. Because Christianity, it seems peaceful and stuff like that now, but what? It was started off with what? The Crusades, fighting and wars and killing. Same thing like gangs. That's what I'm trying to get people to see. So this is not nowhere near to promote that, but I mean, who knows? One day we may have to get like that again, because this is where the world is going. Because as we become more lawless, we're going to go into a state of anarchy at some point. The world is going to become more lawless. And people that may be posing as the people, the authorities that's going to help you, may be the ones that's going to hurt you unilaterally without even having the reason or rightful cause to do so. So I'll just stop there and just say this to make the point final, because we can talk a lot about all this stuff. I do a lot about all this stuff. But I'll just say this to make the point final. It's like it's going to always be a conflict in the occult. And this is something that nobody really talks about when it comes to the religious versus the science aspect of it and what's really going on and what this stuff really means, and then the religion aspect of this is the way it's been and this is the way it should be. It's always been like that, and there's always going to be a conflict, because like in Atlantis, there was the same conflict that they had with Egypt. That's why they fell out, because in Atlantis they was like promoting this, like, nah, you know what I'm saying, we need to sit down and be like this, you know. Not Atlantis, excuse me, Atlantis. The Atlanteans were more like innovative and in the research and breaking down things and going to the alchemy and the science of things more. So not to say the Egyptians weren't, but they had it and kept it a secret religion. They're really big at that. So it's about playing your role. Some people are meant. That's why you got to study your natal chart. Some people are very secretive and are meant to be a part of secret societies. And then you have other individuals that are outward and that are outer beings. And that's like they deal with what's called outformation. Secret societies deal with what's called information. Big difference. And I know you heard Dr. York say this and that, but these are points and teachings that we may have learned from Dr. York, but that he learned in other secret societies as I started to research and find these things out. So that's why they don't like me, man, because you're not going to limit me to a religion's perspective. So just saying all that to say how I opened up the video talking about the dude being an impossible threat. That's what we all up under when you decide, even when you studying it, you still up under a threat, like we started out talking about. Then when you decide you're going to say something about it, because you create contracts in your words and in your thoughts and in your speech and things of that nature. So, word to the wise, something to remember. I'm gonna come back up with more information on words and language and tie this with astrology and how street organizations, as well as religions, how their literature coincides with astrology, and start to show you that type of stuff too. So, stay tuned. It's gonna be a slow process because I got a lot going on my plate right now too. So, on the side with trading and things of that nature. So thank you guys for listening and watching. We are doing readings. Text me for the rates, 513-304-8638. Peace.